Hi friends, this is a bit of a necessary prelude to the conversation that I'm about to share with you. It was a lovely conversation with my friend about her creative pursuits, but near the end we had a few technical difficulties regarding internet connectivity, which is bound to happen when you talk to somebody across the ocean. And before we started, she said, "Hey, I'm going to record my audio locally." And I said, "Sure, that's a good idea." And it turned out to be a really good idea because she started cutting out and I lost some of her dialogue near the end. And so you'll hear some switching going on in the audio to her local audio, and I just didn't want you to think that the government is hacking into your brain again. Now, I know what you're thinking, James. Why didn't you just use her local audio the whole time? Well, there would be some technical issues that would arise through the way that I recorded this episode. It wouldn't have worked. So that's why it kind of worked that way. I tried to make it as smooth as possible. But anyway, here's that conversation. Enjoy. Hi friends, welcome back to another video/episode of the James Red Podcast. Today I'm here with a longtime internet friend, and her name is Megan Kate Potter, aka Megs Creations, aka Meg. And
Yep.
she's not specifically a photographer, but I don't want these conversations to be just me and photographers. I want they tend to be naturally, obviously, but I want them to be me and creators. And I think that all arts inspire all arts. But Meg is an artist. More specifically, she's a YouTube creator who is masterful at drawing and painting. And the stuff she creates is certainly not simple. There's lots of geometry and patterns, and it takes a lot of craftiness and artfulness. And she has a very interesting series on her channel called Coffee With, which we'll be touching on specifically, and because it's quite interesting, where she makes portraits of people by painting them with coffee, which seems impossible to me because I would drink all of my paint before I finish the portrait, I'm pretty sure. But me and my wife will actually be a part of one of those coming up soon. I'm very excited. And I understand that if everything goes well, we will actually receive the painting. Is that correct?
100%. You'll be receiving the original painting. There's no guarantee that it'll still smell like coffee, but maybe that's just because I've smelled so much coffee that I just cannot smell anymore.
That happens.
It does. It really does.
That does happen. Yeah. Well, for example, I used to work in a coffee shop, and you would have to stick your face into the bag to smell the coffee anymore. It's actually a really sad thing. But I will link below to her thing. She is a very interesting creator. Thank you for taking the time. And how's your day going?
I mean, thank you for having me. It's I've kind of like entered this kind of podcast-esque type chatty world, and I've done 3 interviews so far. So it's kind of refreshing to be, like when I was chatting with you, to be on the other side where I don't have to think about the questions that I want to ask or the direction that I want to go in. So this is an absolute pleasure. It's been a fantastic day. Kind of went out, saw a new friend, which is something new. Had some great food.
New friends are almost as good as old friends.
I mean, all kinds of friends, new, old, current,
medium,
future,
middle ground friends, whatever that is. Acquaintances, slight acquaintances.
People are great at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
And the sun is shining. Got a bit of a tan / minor sunburn, which, in the UK, I don't mind because I'm going to take it. Mm-hmm. So
they don't come along that often, maybe, right?
I mean, no, they don't. So just got to take the burn when it comes.
So I don't. That's a very philosophical statement. So I don't tan. I actually freckle. So I become more freckled, and it's interesting. My wife has a darker skin complexion, but I think my freckles are her skin complexion, and then I have the other side of me, which is the anti-freckle, which is the white part of me. Mm-hmm. And they just get darker, and then I burn like I just turn into a lobster. It's a nightmare. But
oh no.
Anyway, so where can people find you first off if they want to?
So at the moment, I'm mainly on Instagram and YouTube. I would say predominantly on Instagram just because of the ease of sharing, uploading, creating content. It's pretty much instant. And YouTube, I'm getting back into. I've had, a few breaks here and there, but with this Coffee With series, that's going to be the main platform where I basically put out my content. So yeah, Instagram, YouTube, have kind of gone back on Twitter, but I want to keep it simple. So just the two platforms for now.
Fantastic. Okay. And like I said, I'll link below to that stuff. But first off, I want to touch on your Coffee With series. And what you basically do with this series, from my estimation, is that you will paint the person and you will, and I don't, let me know if this is a more recent development, because I forget, you will add a voiceover to give context to the person's story. In our case, you actually had a conversation with us and you're going to overlay that conversation.
Absolutely. So the first ever coffee painting that I did, we're going to just kind of go from the beginning, was when I first started getting into YouTube, and I started watching this creator called Mike Falzone, who is awesome. He's a comedian, he's a content creator, an entertainer, and he's just fantastic. And he had a podcast with his girlfriend then, but wife now, called Zoya, but she was called Coffee Girl. And I don't know why, but there was just one day I was just like, I'm going to paint him in coffee. I mean,
we all had that inclination from time to time.
I mean, absolutely. You kind of look at a coffee and think, what if I add some water, stick a paintbrush in it, and put it on paper? What can happen?
Absolutely.
So I made a video of it, and I painted with coffee, and I just really loved it. And from that, kind of did a few here and there, but not many. And it's really, over the past, I would say, 4 to 5 years, have done some here and there, but it's pretty much in the past year where I've really grown to love it as much as I do now. And like you said, the more recent development has been creating these coffee painting kind of time-lapse videos and sharing the story of who I paint, because with anyone that I draw or I paint, I love picking people who inspire me personally. And with the content that I share online, I always want there to be some sort of value, some sort of takeaway from it. And I think people have such interesting stories, and if you can share someone's story with people who might not know about them, I think that can be really inspirational, to people, whether they're looking for someone to look up to, or they're going through a difficult time where they feel like they need some kind of answer or something like that. And then, so I remember doing one of Will Smith, and that was kind of my first proper coffee painting, where I did a voiceover kind of retelling a bit about his story. And then after that, I did one of Dwayne Johnson, or The Rock.
Dwayne who?
Dwayne who? Everyone knows who Dwayne Johnson is. He's fantastic. He's great. And I shared that, and just that research and really learning about his life inspired me so much. And so I was thinking about the fact that I love sharing people's stories, and I would really like to have conversations with people, because I love coffee. And you go to coffee shops, that's a general theme. When people get together, they have a coffee. It's kind of this thing that brings people together.
It's a communal experience.
It really is. And it's all about, yes, it is about the actual coffee, but it's also about your experience whilst having it. And I feel like a lot of the experience is this conversational, catching up with friends, or like meeting someone for a business meeting, or meeting someone new. And I really love that aspect to it. So I thought, how can I just bring all these things together, as well as share people's stories? And it got me thinking on the fact that I actually know so many people in my own life who are a similar age to me, who are all super creative and super intelligent, and they really have these awesome goals and dreams that they're working towards. And I was like, this is the perfect idea to be able to showcase their journey, which they're currently going through, to chat with them about things that they've done, things that they've achieved, challenges that they've gone through, and it be really relatable because it's as if you're chatting to a friend, and we're all in this together at the end of the day. And I think conversation is key to development, and learning from other people is key, and collaboration is key. So I really wanted to bring all that together, and that's kind of where this new idea of Coffee With came about, where I wanted to seek out these people that I had, or I knew in my life, such as you and Christina. The first episode I did with my best friend Dina, who is a filmmaker. I just recorded another episode with a really lovely, lovely guy called Mike, who is a photographer and who is a creator, and he does online content. And just from these these 3 episodes that I've done so far, I cannot explain how amazing it is to learn about your stories and to find people who have a similar outlook on life to you. There's just something so reassuring about it. And I feel like as creators, we can kind of in a way feel alone sometimes, because we're in our bubble, we're in our creative bubble. Like you were saying, I think you and I are both similar in that it's only when like push comes to shove that we'll kind of go outside and explore. Like we're kind of comfortable in our own space, just doing our own thing, and really branching out and chatting to other people and realizing that some of the things that you go through, they've gone through as well, or being able to take really valuable lessons from their experiences is it's just been really, really inspiring, and just really validates kind of my intention with content creation, which is to just make a positive difference, really. Yeah, so I feel like I just waffled on for ages then.
No, that was perfect. You're a good waffler.
Thank you, thank you. That should be like my badge. I should just have like waffler on a badge on the shirt.
Right.
Just to warn people.
Expert waffler.
Love it. I mean, gonna change my Facebook name.
Is that an English term? I've never heard that one.
To waffle?
To waffle on for ages.
I mean, yeah, like we say it here for sure. If someone just goes on.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Oh, so that just kind of came out?
No. You guys have such interesting phrases.
Oh, yes.
Americans love to listen to English people talk in general. I just did a video with a guy named Pablo Strong, who is a photographer.
Yeah.
He also lives in the UK. And cool. I mentioned at the beginning, I was like, any chance I get to put somebody with an English accent on one of my videos, good day. But yeah, you guys have some really interesting phrases to say, and a lot of times I like thinking about what the words that people say to try to communicate things. It's fun just to kind of step back and look at society and the strange things that we say, and even down to the fact that like if you think about the words that you're saying, they're just sounds.
Absolutely.
Sound. It's like it's odd, and so I like that one. I'm gonna start using that one. I love likewise. That's like my favorite phrase on earth. And
likewise is good.
That's a lot of American people say it, but I feel like it's a rather English phrase.
I think so. I mean, in all honesty, like I've only lived here 4 years. So kind of like grew up abroad on the other side of the world, and just like chatting with my coworkers, there are so many slang terms that I just have no idea what they mean. Like I was told one the other day called peng ting, PENG space TING.
Peng ting.
Peng ting. And I'm just going to be really honest, I can't remember what it means. But I was like, what is this? Like, this is some other type of language.
That's amazing.
I have no idea. But yeah, there's definitely some words here. But it's interesting you mentioned that about like, you liking the British accent, because whenever I hear an American accent, or we had like a few people from our American team come over to the UK office, and pretty much 90% of the conversation was comparing words and how we say words and different phrases. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just amazing. I absolutely love it.
One of the big differences, and this could get you killed, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I can't think of a situation where it would directly do this, but um, here we go to the hospital.
Mm.
You guys go to hospital. You
So
take
we
out you take out the.
do we?
Yeah, maybe not
We
you, but
uh,
many go to
Yeah, I
hospital.
mean, I definitely go to the hospital, so I
Okay.
might just be like an anomaly. Again, I'm not really from here,
Right.
so
You've traveled a lot.
I'm pretty much like an intruder, just
Mm,
pretending.
an alien.
Yeah, a waffling alien. There we
A
go.
waffling coffee alien. The most dangerous
Perfect.
kind. That's
Oh,
awesome.
so good, so good.
Okay, so back to the coffee painting. And also I wanted to mention, I hope you guys don't hear my stomach growling. The only lunch I've had is a couple of pieces of bread, and so I think my stomach is letting me know it's time. I might eat my glass after I finish my coffee, but just wanted to address that. So when you're deciding to paint a particular human being
Mm.
with coffee in this particular context, what is it? What is something that tends to draw you to that person?
I think, firstly, what what draws me to someone is what kind of impact they've had on me, but also on the world. And so we'll explore the first one. So, kind of, what impact have they had on me? What have I learned from them? And I feel like if there have been like some real key takeaways, Will Smith, for example, one thing that I've really come to appreciate is he's just so knowledgeable. And I feel like, if you just take him as an actor and don't really delve deep and listen to his interviews, listen to his talks, listen to, some of his motivational videos, you would never really know, like, actually how much experience and just like the wealth of knowledge that he has.
He has a wonderful
And
mind.
he really does. And just the way that he chooses to express and share his knowledge is in a way that's just so it just gets you,
Mm.
like, it really gets to the point and just really hits here, and also your mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of, that's really what drew me to him, as well as having an impact on the world, where he's using his influence and his position to really make big changes in the world. And I always appreciate that of someone, because, you know, in a way, I think it could be easy to get to that point where, you're at an all-time high with your career. You're not worried about money. You have it all, and you could just have it. You don't need to give anything back. But these people are making real conscious decisions to realize they're in a prime position to be able to make real change in the world, because there are so many things that need to be changed. We are developing in a right-ish direction, but there's still so much suffering. There's still so much that we need to talk about, that we need to help each other, because at the end of the day, like, we're all on this earth together. you know why wouldn't you want to be able to help someone else who is living a life, and they've just been dealt unfortunate circumstances? You know what I mean? And so, for me, that's always really attracted me to these kinds of people. So, for example, yeah, that's why I painted Dwayne. Um, I last year I did I think it was about 10 paintings of 10 women who really inspired me, and these women included Oprah. I mean, of course, like Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Gina Rodriguez, yeah, Michelle Obama, Lily Singh or Superwoman. Another one was Selena Gomez. There was another British YouTuber called Hannah Witten. And I know I'm definitely forgetting another one. I just can't remember at the top of my head. But, to be able to celebrate particular people. And I feel like also we become so accustomed to seeing these people in the spotlight or, in the press that again, we just kind of take them for face value and don't really dig deeper. But sometimes when you do dig deeper, you realize that they are doing amazing things aside from, what they've been doing to become well known.
Mm.
And then again, like with this new kind of area that I'm going to, I didn't want to just focus on celebrities or like massive people, because as much as they are amazing and they're doing amazing things, I think it's for for us to listen to like stories and processes, and just to listen to a conversation with another person again in that same situation, I think is so much more relatable, because we're all going through these same things. So yeah, it's just kind of the intention and the impact that people have on the world. I do fully believe that each and every person has value to offer and to share, and has experiences and knowledge which can help other people. And so I'm kind of just on a quest to find those people and share their stories, because I think it's awesome.
That's fantastic.
And
I love that.
yeah, yeah.
I think what's interesting about what you're doing too is that oh dang, I lost my train of thought. It was a good one. You were stories, and then there was the thing, and then well, anyway, so
You'll get back on the train soon.
Right, I'll find it halfway into my next statement. That's how it always goes. What are some of the challenges to painting with coffee? Maybe even on a technical level.
So it's so funny that you bring that up, because in all honesty, every time I start a new coffee painting, I am terrified. I'm genuinely terrified. I think
Okay, well, so why is that? Yeah.
I just I feel like a noob. I feel like I go back to zero, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna mess it up, and it's just gonna turn out terrible. And I don't know why. Like I just don't know why.
It's funny because people will watch your videos and they'll just go, "Man, that just comes so easily to her. She just has a
really
wonderful
doesn't.
creative mind, and she just
Like,
sat down and put some coffee in a thing and took a brush and started painting, and the rock came out."
it's so the opposite. I get like it takes me, I would say, a good. So I usually pick the person, or like I've delved a little bit into animals. So pick the subject of the painting, do the initial sketch, and then I probably give it about 2 to 3 days where I contemplate the actual painting and really gear myself up for that moment when I start. Because once I start, that's it. I'm committed. I have to continue. It has begun. And it's probably, I stay terrified, I would say, for the first 3 quarters of the painting. And it's really the last quarter where things seem to come together, where I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm kind of, yeah, this might work actually. I let it, interestingly enough, I found that I have to let it dry, because basically the way that I paint with coffee is similar to that of watercolors. So I layer on top. I use instant coffee just because I can get a lot of different concentrations and therefore lots of different shade variations. And so I'll start with like, a tiny bit of instant coffee with a lot of water for that kind of light wash. And then I'll just keep building on that. And I find though that I sometimes, I mean, it requires a lot of patience, and like I kind of have to tell myself to stop, put the painting away, let it dry overnight, and then come back to it, because then the layers on top of that lay over much nicer. And then also there's, I don't know, just something happens with the color. It's really interesting because each and every one is a different experience. And I think that's one of the things that terrifies me, but that's also one of the reasons why I love it so much, is because it's just this whole new experience every time, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
well, so I was looking up I was looking at your Instagram account, and
mm,
the shading is it's so interesting. Your ability to find this really dynamic level of shading
mm,
with that on a level that can create a person's face and make it look rich and aesthetically pleasing with
mm,
coffee.
mm,
It's so interesting to me that it has this sort of a contrasty but like timeless aesthetic to it. Like it's not something. It's not a type of. A lot of styles have a sort of um, timeliness to them, right?
mm,
When it
mm,
comes to anything you're doing, filmmaking is a great example of this. There are these trends that kind of come and go, but
definitely.
but for example, focusing all your energy on telling a really solid story in like a documentary format and not putting too many of the bells and whistles in, just making it
Mm,
a really solid flowing story that people can follow along. That's a timeless thing. There are
yeah.
styles that are just very, very timeless. And a lot of times they tend to be not so complex, but just really well rounded.
Mm,
And and so I think that coffee paintings have that feel to them. They're almost black and white, but they're brown, right?
yeah.
And so
It's kind of it's like that filter that I mean, it's probably on. I don't know if you have it on Instagram, but it used to be on all cameras. It was sepia or
sepia, yeah,
sepia,
yeah, yeah.
and it's and that's exactly it. It's that kind of grainy, kind of old timely, but not so kind of feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
And
it also feels nicer than just putting a sepia filter on a photo, right? Because there's some
mm,
negative sides to sepia as well from for me.
yeah,
Of course, that's a subjective thing, but yeah, but there's like a level of I don't know, it's just a level of detail and richness that you're able to achieve, and a lot of that comes from your ability to shade really well and take articulate it in your mind and then turn that into a physical thing before you.
mm,
And that's one of the things that's so fascinating about painting to me in general. Like I'm wildly interested in this idea that you take a literally a blank canvas. I think that's where
yeah,
that term came from.
yeah,
And it's sitting there before you, and you have to take your imagination and vomit it in an organized manner onto that paper.
yes,
Whereas
yeah,
if you're a photographer, you're using the world as a canvas, and you're showing people your experience of the
mm,
world through the camera.
mm,
Uh, and I'm also interested because I'm interested in anybody who's masterful at something that I know nothing about. I'm
mm,
horrible at drawing at
yeah,
all, and just the masterfulness of the dexterity of the hand to get the
yeah,
shading right,
yeah.
and also you can't there to a certain level. We all know from Bob Ross there are no mistakes; there are only happy accidents. But to a certain level, you don't have an undo key command.
No, you do not.
You just kind of go, okay, that lip went the wrong direction. I'm gonna see if I can just put that right there and give it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so interesting to me. I love the I love it as a medium, and
mm,
I love how you have to practice diligently to pull it off well, and you certainly do that.
definitely, definitely. And it's interesting because just doing so, I started mainly with doing black and white, kind of monochromatic portraits, kind of pop art style. And from there, then kind of, I call it an investment because that back then it was an investment. Invested in 12 color pencils, and I think this was the best decision
Was it
that I,
Oh, color pencils. So not like was it micron pens?
Oh no, not micron pens. So proper
Okay.
color, yeah, proper color pencils. But just the 12 pack. Like I could have gone for the 36 pack, which had way more color options and would have been great. But I had the 12 pack and I thought if I can master how to, create shading and, highlights and shadows and really make something look good with just 12 colors, once I can master that, then I can go on to 36. And I think it was that initial, it's that kind of I'm I'm sure it's the same with photography. Like, you don't go and buy the most expensive camera initially because you will not know how to properly use it. You start with the basics
Mm.
and you become masterful at using that particular outlet of creativity or that medium, and then you progress on to the next one, and you then become masterful at that, and then you progress on to the next. So it really has been a slow progression over the past, I would say, properly, I've been properly drawing since I was about 19. So about 6 years. Yeah,
Mm.
6 years. I did art in school and it was a completely different experience. It was kind of you have to do this and you have to draw this, and I liked it, but I was not as passionate about it as I am now. And yeah, it was kind of during a time where I didn't have much to do, and I just started coloring. And from there, I was like, I love this. And like you said, there's just this satisfaction of being able to create something from nothing. And I think this spans over all kinds of creativity, whether it's digital, video, um, like that's I love After Effects for that because you literally start with nothing and you
Right.
create layers and add, different keyframes, different animations, and you could literally build whatever you want.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you wanted to, you could build the most complex 3D digital or like realistic looking world. And I think that is one of the most amazing things ever.
Mhm.
And I really feel the same about art and creativity. And I think really it's that kind of mindset that really led me on to exploring coffee paintings because I just like exploring lots of different mediums. I think why not, just try loads of things, see what sticks, see what doesn't, and just really try it all. Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Exactly,
I feel
exactly.
that. Yeah, I love.
Yeah.
I spent a good part of my childhood as an introverted, homeschooled human
Mm,
being, just poking around in After Effects. Like I made my brother's girlfriend's head explode. That was fun.
so good.
Yeah, I was really, I was interested in visual effects just for the fun of it, I guess. And then I would, but yeah, it was amazing that you could sort of take, you could not even on the level of character animation, but you could take a rectangle and give it character,
Yes.
right? You could control the velocity of the keyframe and make it, if you want the rectangle to jump, right? And you want
Yeah.
it to feel, if you want it to feel heavy, it just kind of goes like that, right? But if you want it to feel sort of springy and playful, it's just like boing, boing.
Yep.
And the dynamics of that were really fascinating to me and figuring out how to, make text fly together and bounce off of each other maybe, and all the little creating things that feel dynamic
Mm,
and having, everything's built up of shapes. So you can have a rectangle and a circle, and you just start building more rectangles and circles. And before you know it, you have a cityscape, or
yep.
you've built a what are those things called? You've built some sort of hadron collider. Is that what they have? That's super random. That's where they like
It
take those
sounds good.
those energy particles and like slam them together.
Okay.
The problem with this is they're going to create a black hole, but it's a huge building
Mm.
slash mechanical entity somewhere around, I forget where they built it. It's like one of the biggest machines in the world.
I
And
need to research this.
yeah, it's like this big loop and they shoot particles and the particles collide. and they
Oh,
learn things from them.
yeah, there's like a particular word for it. Oh, we learned it in science, and I can't remember now.
All right, let's see. It is the Hadron Collider. All right, guys, we're waffling on. We're going on a tangent.
The alien wafflers have come back.
Yes. This is
No,
uh,
it's
here we go. So let's see. How does the Large Hadron Collider work?
Hadron.
The Large Hadron Collider is the world's largest and most powerful particle collider, the most complex experimental facility ever built, the largest single machine in the world. And if I'm seeing pictures of giant a giant tunnel with a smaller tunnel within it, they shoot these particles around. You would think you would only need a tabletop to collide some particles, but oh no,
Yeah.
you need like
Oh no.
a mile or however long it is. Let's just say we're gonna say 500-mile long donut. Okay. All right,
it.
so that's the Large Hadron Collider. Where were we? Okay, so now I just want to talk about your just painting and drawing in general, which we've sort of fell into a little bit there. But what drew you to painting and what drew you to drawing in the first place, and why was it so interesting? I know you touched on that a little bit, but maybe if there's some further waffling.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we're like 40 minutes in. I think we can establish that I love to waffle.
I like waffles.
Waffles are great.
Yeah.
So good. So it was, again, I did art for my GCSEs, which is, I don't know what it would be like the equivalent in America. It's basically when you're 15, 16 years old. So, like high school?
Bar mitzvah?
What
are we talking about?
No, like when you're 15, 16 years old at school, like what do you class that as? Is that like middle school, high school?
Oh, I see. I guess that would be maybe middle school, just going into high school, maybe?
So those basically GCSEs or IGCSEs are this kind of these exams that we take before we go into our A levels, which is kind of, it's like 17, 18-year-old before university, or you guys call it college, I believe. And so I did art then. I think I got a B or something and didn't really do anything else. And then I was at a point kind of in my life where I wasn't at school and I didn't really have anything to do. So so basically I was like, I need to find something to do. And
I love the simplicity of that. I didn't have anything to do and I thought I need to find something to do.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And so, I mean, I can't remember if I went out and bought like a cheap pack of colored pencils or something, but I think I had some graphite pencils and I just started doing portraits. I think I did one of Carl Drogo and then one of House. I can't remember his name. Hugh Laurie from House. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm going to try some color because I didn't really had never done color before. And like that just kept building and building and I kept doing more and more and more. And then at that point I was living in Thailand and then we kind of, I mean, life's a bit bonkers, but we basically then had 2 months in Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam I decided to get a sketchbook, and that really kind of got me doing lots of different things. Like I did sketches outside. I remember drawing my foot, which was great. I doodled,
they're there, why not draw them?
Exactly. I mean, they were in socks. I'm not a fan of toes, and that kind of stuff. Feet and socks are fine. So just want to establish that.
You could have really leaned into that. You could have become the premier sock painter.
I mean,
socked foot painter.
If there are any artists out there who, want to become like really successful, I think this is a great idea. So here you go. We're giving you this idea. take
I
take
just
it.
picture a massive socked foot mural in New York City on the side of some business building or arts building, right?
Yes,
90
yes,
foot tall socked foot.
absolutely. And like the title could be "This Sucks," so it's
Yeah.
like, you
Okay.
know, like this sucks, but it's like socks.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. We're on this. We'll have to develop that a little bit more, but we're on to something.
that's a nice way of saying, Meg, that was a terrible name for this exhibition. We need to call it something else.
There are
So
there are no bad ideas. This is what think tanks are for. There are no bad ideas. Let's just get it all on the board, and then we
yes,
decide if they're bad ideas.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, socks, and then I came to the UK, and it was when I started my YouTube channel that I started experimenting with more different mediums. I was still mainly doing portraits because there's just something about drawing someone's face. I love faces, and I love, the shapes of people's eyes, and the highlights and the shadows and all the different complexities within a face. I find it fascinating. And through my YouTube channel, again, explored lots of other mediums such as watercolor, pastels. At one point, I painted with nail polish, mascara. Um, I mean,
The
wouldn't do those
occasional
again.
spaghetti sauce.
I mean, no. See, that was actually probably the root of where my passion came from. Because I remember whilst I was doing my GCSEs in art, so when I was 15, 16, I was subscribed to this channel on YouTube of this guy who painted, I can't remember his name, but he was, there's that documentary about McDonald's, of the guy who just purely eats McDonald's. I can't remember his name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
I haven't seen
there's
that
this,
one yet.
yeah, there's this like iconic image of him with like his mouth full of fries, and this YouTube channel, this guy from this YouTube channel painted him using ketchup, and it was the great ketchup and a fry. He painted him using ketchup and a fry.
That's
I
so
will
good.
send this link to you. It is the most fantastic thing you've ever seen. And he went on to paint like Elvis and stuff. And there was like one with barbecue sauce and all this kind of stuff. So,
Wow.
probably at the core root of everything, that's where the seed was planted. And
If they make a movie about you, they'll call it Ketchup and a Fry.
oh, yes, I like
The
that.
Megs Creation Stories.
That's so good. Um, and and then I just kept going. I just kept going. And to be honest, like it was when I started getting, I would say when I started getting more into like digital art and things, that I started experimenting more with shapes and patterns. And that led on to one of my other really big passions, which is drawing mandalas and drawing with ink, so ink pens, and just doing really kind of black and white, stuff. And initially it was, my thought process was like, oh, this is cool, I can draw circles on circles on circles, add a few triangles, more circles, add some dots here and there, and you create something awesome.
The
And
occasional octagon.
exactly, yeah, maybe a swirl here or there.
Oh my
um
gosh.
I
Yes.
know a little, that's like going a bit crazy there,
I would
but
well, I would probably put way too many swirls.
there's never too many swirls, never
Is that
too many
right?
swirls.
Okay. Pro tip. Pro tip from
And
Meg's Creations.
but like what, the more I drew mandalas, because I mean, there's something that's really quite popular, and it's obviously those art therapy books, and they're full of mandalas. So you color mandalas as a way to just kind of calm down and just chill, zone out. And
No, I've never heard that term before. Is that what's behind you?
yes, so
Okay.
that's a mandala there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like, I have like a little art wall going on here, and my new little plant, which featured. I've
Mm-hmm.
called it Tim.
Okay, here, I'll show you my plant. We haven't named him yet, but this is a plant that we have.
That's so beautiful. Oh, I love
However,
it.
if we
Oh,
look, I'm going to ruin my shot, but if we look to my left, I guess you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
We see, oh, I can't see. Oh gosh, that's a lamp. Oh, this
Oh,
is
I
a
see
horrible.
them.
Okay, there we go.
There.
So we have
Love
plenty over
them.
there. And the best part of this is that's probably about, I'm going to say that's about 30 to 40% of the plants that we have in our house.
Okay.
My wife wants our house to be a jungle.
I'm all for that. I support
Yes.
that.
And so
Yep.
we have one in there that's probably 5.5 feet tall. It's great.
Nice.
It's really
Nice.
nice. I
Plants are
used to have a
great.
cactus, but it's shriveled up. I accidentally watered it too much,
It's
which is,
well,
oh, that's adorable.
it's a baby cactus.
That's
Yes.
adorable. That's great.
Um, so plants are great.
Yes. But they're just, there's a calming effect that comes with
There
having a
really
lot of
is.
plants in your house. It's a good thing.
There really is. And yeah, well, talking about calming, um, that's exactly what drawing mandalas is. You know, it's this like it really for me is first and foremost a way to just like completely relax. And if I have like a lot going on in my mind or just things that I need to work through, I'm like, right, there's like, there's infinite options, but there's not a lot of thought that really goes into it. And I know that sounds kind of strange because you see a mandala and it's like really
Mm.
complex and things, but it's basically just adding shapes to shapes,
Right, right. It's almost like
really.
it's not too complex, so it helps you kind of fall into a flow state.
Mm, exactly. And there's this really just calming like repetitiveness to it, like usually what I do, I just get a compass, a pencil, piece of paper, draw a bunch of circles. I'll kind of like sometimes draw some close together, some far apart, and then I'll just build on that. I might draw some like half circles, a few triangles here and
Mhm.
there, kind of plan out the basic skeleton of it, and then just add. And I kind of just add like as I feel. I never really have like a plan with it, which I think makes for just a really organic, like
Mm.
looking piece.
So it's like a flower almost, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And kind of from then I kind of have kind of dipped in a few different other areas. So like one thing that I'm very much inspired by and interested in is tattoo art. I think it's really incredible, and I think it's so amazing now that it's becoming recognized as an art form as opposed to this kind of just, oh, that person's rebellious, or oh, that person's part of a gang, or where I'm sure in some countries it is, but kind of I would say for the Western world it's more common to look at someone's tattoo and go, oh, that's a cool piece of art.
Hmm.
And I've just kind of, yeah, just really experimented with lots of different things and continue to do so. Um, but I think at the moment, my main passion, or my main focus at least, because if I didn't make myself focus, I would be like all over the place with just doing everything. So
Mm.
like the main focus at the moment is the coffee paintings, as well as keeping up kind of the mandalas and that type of thing.
Hmm.
um yeah, and just exploring those,
So
I think.
you talk about you talk about staying focused and
Mm,
staying focused, I think, is part of building a structure for yourself in
mm,
order to not just kind of fiddle and play everywhere, but to focus to dig into a specific niche of something and
definitely,
become masterful over that thing.
definitely.
So with that said, I'm curious what obviously a huge part of structure is having a daily structure. What does a
Mm,
normal day look like for you in your attempt to be structured? Because I speak to this thing as somebody who's just trying to be more structured at all times. I'm not somebody who has some sort of special wisdom on structure. I'm just trying my absolute best and fighting as hard as I can at all times.
yeah.
So for you, I mean, maybe you do have some special wisdom, but where are you at with that?
I mean, definitely don't have some special wisdom. Structure and focus is definitely a daily challenge. I love writing things down, but and I love planning, but for some reason, my I just never quite stick to the things that I set myself. So what I've come to very quickly, or very slowly actually, realize is to not overset myself goals,
Mm.
to just really pick one or two things that I want to accomplish in that week and focus on those and really put my 100% into those. And if I've completed those, then I'm happy, and anything else is extra and a bonus.
Yeah.
So at the moment, firstly, I bought a whiteboard, life changing.
Oh, good.
I'm definitely not someone who likes to schedule through using like iCal or on my phone or things like that. I'm a very hands-on person. I like to write things down, map things out using my hands. And I think recently I've realized I can't do it in books because I'm not faced with it every single day. Like, you can write in a book and you can close it and put
Right.
it away and
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. And
Collects
it never,
dust.
exactly, it never happens. So this whiteboard has really been quite revolutionary because I have to stare at it every single day and I know what I have to do. So just reading off what I have there, I break it down into different days. And so I have kind of each day, leave a bit of a space. Then I have important projects. The gym for me is something really important as well. So I have a separate schedule for that. And then kind of like little daily goals. And
Well,
I
can I
work,
stop you right there?
yeah,
The gym, exercise, how does that help you?
so many ways. To be honest, I like feeling like I'm capable of doing things. And going to the gym and working out not only gives me clarity of mind, that helps me to focus. That is also a different outlet for me to work through, things that I might be thinking about or that's kind of going on with me. And I just like to be physically capable of doing things. I like to know that, if I want to run a little bit, I can do that and not be out of breath.
If I need
Not
to
a
run
lot,
to the
just a little
mailbox,
bit.
I will
Exactly.
survive the journey.
Exactly.
If there's a stray cat in the area, I will be able to get back to my house safely.
And not out of breath.
Yes.
Um, it's initially, the gym for me was something that was a physical goal that I was aiming for. I wanted to look good because I thought if I looked good, I would feel good. And yes, that is true to a certain extent, but I'm now at the point where I love the challenge of pushing myself to beyond pushing myself to new places which I never anticipated I thought I could go. And I think that challenge with my physical body really helps in challenges in different other aspects of life as well. Um, as well as that, so I mean, I wouldn't say I do this all the time. I literally have just been doing this last week, and was successful at it. But I always tell myself, like, okay,
Oh,
go
good
to the
job.
gym. Yes, go to the gym in the morning. Um, Prior to that, I would go in like after work. But starting your morning, you know, with working your body, movement, not necessarily, having like a focus with like, okay, I need to get this much cardio or lift this, these much weights or kind of this, but actually just moving your body and getting the blood flowing and things like that. It really does, and like set you up so well for the rest of the day. And I know people say that all the time, and people might think, oh, they're just going on, they're wafflers.
Those
But
darn wafflers.
those darn wafflers. um, but it really does. So for me, the gym has provided me with focus and structure, the ability to know that I can challenge myself and can push through barriers. And in all honesty, just to feel like I'm strong, physically strong, gives me a lot of confidence.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's definitely a big priority in my life as well.
Mhm.
Like kind of fitness and health, because I feel like they go hand in hand. And then as a result, I know that when I'm not as active, I feel very lethargic and my creativity dwindles. When I'm very active and I'm really on point with everything, the creativity flourishes.
Mm. Mhm.
So at the moment, I do work a full-time job, so I create online content for a travel page as part of a digital media agency. It's a really great job, and it's very free and very open, and I really do enjoy it. So that takes up the majority of my day, Monday to Friday. So like the planned schedule at the moment is kind of like wake up early. I think like I'm an early bird for sure. 5:30, 6 o'clock, that's when I wake up. First thing I do is make my bed. Revolutionary. You make your
Yes.
bed, everything feels just clean and like you've got your life together.
Listen,
Um,
everybody on the internet who has anything to do with talking about psychology say that that is the first, that is an enormous part of making yourself a happier person. That
yes,
there is I think there is a lot of scientific data to back that up, to just make your bed.
absolutely. And I mean, I really don't think that I've gone a day without making my bed for at least like 7 years or something.
That's awesome.
It's literally, I wake up, get out of bed, make it, and then I can start my day. So it's kind of doing that, heading to the gym, coming back, like the whole morning routine, shower, get dressed, food, all that kind of stuff, go to work, and then I'll kind of have each day like a small little goal that I want to set myself, of what I want to achieve. Sometimes it'll take longer, so I will have to push things back. But in general, like I said, I try to just like set myself 1 to 2 main goals per week, and I find that isn't too overwhelming. That I feel like just so overwhelmed that I'm like I can't do anything, but it's not too little that I think, oh, I can kind of like milk this out for the rest of the week and kind of,
Mm.
just go here and there. So, for example, like last week, my main priorities were editing the first episode of Coffee With, as well as having a conversation with you and Christina and starting to put that together. And then having today recording another Coffee With conversation. And as well as that, what was last week? I think that was pretty much it. And after having achieved those, like some of my other main priorities are doing drawings for my Instagram or posting content on Instagram. So it's usually kind of just like wake up, gym, have the morning for that whole thing. At least then that's out the way. Go to work, and then when I come back in the evening, that's when I can do like my creative kind of side projects, or the side hustle that people may call it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
first off, I wanted to touch on the exercising thing,
Yeah.
because this has been my newest endeavor to overcome. Because, so what I do for money is I'm editing videos for another YouTube creator, and this involves me. He posts his videos basically every day.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
this is a lot of time sitting and editing, or standing and editing. I try to move around while I'm doing that. Going to trying to get out and go to a coffee shop and edit, and
Yeah.
just changing my environment, hugely helpful. But the challenge that is arising is that my body is saying, hey, you don't need me anymore, I'm going to wither into a puddle.
Yes.
And so I need to I need to create structure for myself to exercise. So I'm trying, just in the house, trying to do
Mm,
I try to do like 100 jumping jacks, and like
mm,
20 to 30 sit-ups and 20 to 30 push-ups, just as a barrier to entry, just moving, right?
yeah.
And I'm sort of similar to you in this sense, that I want my body to not feel weak. I want
Mm,
it to feel very capable, and you just feel better in general, right? But I've also
definitely.
learned that it's exercise, and specifically doing things that involve endurance.
Mm,
And here, this translates to me going that direction and climbing up a mountain, which is a very nice thing about living in Utah. But when I do that, just getting outside is the
mm,
beginning of helping myself feel better. You just
definitely.
look out over that, like I live in a valley, so you just get up on the side of this mountain, you just look out on this open valley for miles and miles and miles, you see the houses, And that just it feels so good. This is so good for the mind, especially when you actually leave this valley and go to a true Utah valley, which is just nothing for
Mm,
miles. It's really special, and it's really good for your mental state, I've found. And and standing by a body of water is another example of
mm,
this. Just watching the water do its thing, that calmness is incredibly useful. This is all part of the process of creating. And
definitely.
but I've learned that when I go run up a hill, right, and I get my heart rate up just a little bit, this negative energy, you're as much as you're working your body, you're working this negative energy out of your bones. You're getting it out
Yeah,
of you, and you feel so much better at the end, and you feel like you can go back to your creative thing, and you're ready to take it on. And
definitely.
that's a hard thing because well, for one, your your body and your mind don't always tell you what you need. It just tells you what's wrong.
Mm,
And so you'll try to treat this it feeling wrong in many different ways that don't quite solve the problem. And so you have to start to find the patterns that start to put you in the place that you're in, and then you have to connect the dots yourself, which can be really difficult. And then once you connect the dots and you know what it probably is, then you actually have to get up and do it, which can
yeah.
be equally as difficult. On the planning side, you say it, my wife is this way too, where she needs a physical object to interact
Mm,
with. She needs to take her hand and hold a pen and make
yeah.
lines and not so much drawing, but just writing out bullet points and getting herself,
Mm,
when she makes up, she has a very specific way of making a budget where she just draws a bunch of rectangles, puts stuff inside, makes headers,
yeah.
whereas I never spent my time that way. I think a lot of it was because I've just I didn't grow up in traditional schooling, so that
Mm,
didn't I never had a lot of affinity towards drawing and writing things, and writing things in order to tell a story or articulate thoughts or plan. So for me,
mm,
everything happens in the digital world. I'm the complete opposite. But what I've learned is that the best thing for me in terms of keeping myself on within a structure is I'm the same way. I have a hard time. I can make the structure, but I
yeah.
have to make sure I adhere to that structure.
Yeah.
Making the structure is just the beginning of the battle.
Oh, yes.
But I've learned that I have to have a very aesthetically pleasing and dynamic, I would call it an ecosystem of planning to
Mm,
interact with. So like, for example, me and my wife just got an app. Well, we got it on our phone. It was $10 on the phone. On the Mac, it's actually $40. So this is, we had to realize if this was going to be useful enough for us.
yeah.
And we bought both of those apps, and they're fantastic. It's called Things,
Okay.
and it's just a to-do list / project management type thing, and it's a beautifully built app. I
Mm,
need, for example, I need key commands in my to-do list app so that I can interact with them in a very tactile way, much like I do with editing.
yeah.
And so I just love to open up the app and go, what am I going to plan? This is exciting. I can
Yes.
create a whole new world for myself in this app. And then I have another app called Bear, which is actually for the pro version of it. It's a subscription based app, but you can download it for free. It's a note taking app, but
Okay.
it has a billion key commands on your desktop, and it allows you to you can create your bullet points, you can create your headers,
Mm,
you can create your you can create a to-do list within the thing. You can create line breaks, all of this stuff. It's just nice to I'm actually using it right now for this conversation. This is where I
oh,
write out
nice.
all my uh, questions and sort
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
framework for any given conversation. And I've learned that writing is such an important piece of me actually taking myself, like if I ever want to upgrade my creative level of output and things that I'm trying to achieve, I
Mm,
write. I have to
yes.
write, because if not, it's just it's like this pudding of stuff in your head that's all mixed together, and you can't quite figure out how to get it to a singularity.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that
It's like a rocky road bar. There's just so many things.
Rocky Road Bar. You're telling me
It's
all of
like
these things. I have to look up.
Have you never heard of Rocky Road? Is it Rocky Road or what's that like? It's like a thing where it's like got marshmallows and chocolate and just all the stuff stuffed inside.
Google has the
And
answer.
okay, when in doubt, Google.
I see it. Is this it?
Um,
Sort of. Hold on. Here, I'll give you another one.
I can see it. Yes, that's
Okay,
it.
there we
Yeah.
go.
It's just a mishmash of loads of stuff and you can't
Yes.
quite figure out what's in there. Yeah.
Right. So it's part of writing is that you have to articulate the problem you're experiencing. And some people do that through talking to other people.
Mm,
And that has its own benefits. Some people do that through thinking, and that has its own benefits. Some people do that through writing, and that has its own benefits, obviously. So for me, it's just organizing all of the stuff in my head into something that feels cohesive and that gives me. Another thing is baby steps are enormous. This is
mm,
the basis of you trying to do anything good with your life, right?
yeah,
If you're struggling with anything that is more than walking to the kitchen and grabbing some ice cream, you need baby steps in order to achieve it. And
definitely.
it's just funny how your experience parallels mine, but you do it in the physical world with your hands, and I do it in the digital world. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
I find like whenever I watch people and like one of my favorite things to watch is how people plan and schedule. And I just find it so fascinating because each and every one of us functions so differently and you just really have to find your particular way of working and that way is really specific to you. But once you do find it, it's like you've just unlocked this whole new potential of output and actually getting things done. And it's like finding a pot of gold. It's
Mm.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice how you can the more that you submerge yourself in anybody's creative structure,
Mm,
there are layers and layers, onion layers, if you will, to learn
yes.
from what they're up to and how they accomplish what they accomplish. But I'm failing to find it right now, but I found this big list of pie charts with the creative habits. I'll send it to you after this.
Okay. Yeah.
If I can find it. Creative habits of people throughout history who were, so that on this list was Beethoven and Ben Franklin was on there.
Mm,
Who else? A bunch of really prolific people. And it's fascinating because this is this like, beautifully put together pie chart. The pie chart goes around the person's head, like the picture of their head, and it's their schedule from when they wake up to when they go to sleep.
oh, that's cool.
And it's so interesting. And there was one guy who he would basically sleep in I think he slept in 3-hour increments. See his sleep schedule, and some of these sleep schedules are absolutely ridiculous. But you also see where it's like, okay, this person needed that too. He needed a break too. He needed to. Oh yeah, you'll like this one. I forget who it was. He was a composer, I think. He would drink like up to 60 cups of coffee a day.
I mean, that's commitment right there. To say the least.
To destroying your kidneys, I suppose.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, like 3 a day for me is like, okay, I need to slow down now. What a committed guy.
Yeah. I don't know if he was. See, so for me, the way coffee affects me is it actually calms me down because I have sort of the ADHD type brain, and it actually just makes me feel calm and relaxed and focused. It helps me focus. Whereas for most people, it gives them energy. I've never felt an energy boost from coffee other than if I don't drink the coffee and then I feel like crap and then I finally drink some coffee, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, like I find the same. For me, I drink coffee because I genuinely really enjoy the whole process, the taste,
Mm.
and I don't do it for the caffeine purposes
Mhm,
whatsoever.
mhm.
But like you as well, I don't feel the hit, but I definitely feel the lack of it when I don't
Yeah,
have it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good
It's
stuff.
definitely there.
I mean, the way that I look at coffee is, well, I think I think you can definitely find benefits to coffee, but I think that a lot of it comes down to if you drink way too much, that's a problem, but that's with
Yeah,
anything in life. And
exactly.
also, you could have much, much worse habits in
Oh,
life.
definitely. 100%
Much,
agree.
much worse. And that this one is, I would consider a particularly good one, assuming you're relatively structured about it. But
Yes.
okay, uh, so we went through what a day looks like for you,
Yeah.
and that was wonderfully interesting. I'm curious what we're at hour and 10 minutes. This is great. Uh, what is something that you have struggled with as a creator? What's one of your biggest struggles, maybe on a daily basis or early on, or just maybe this overarching struggle that you're
Mm.
continuing to chip away at?
So I would say the main thing is style,
Mm,
um, and feeling like I don't have a particular style, because I feel like all the artists I follow, they stick within the same medium, and they have a particular style, and they that's just their style, and it's recognizable. You see it and you're like, oh, that's so and so. And sometimes I struggle. I just don't like sticking to one thing.
mm,
I just love trying different things, and I struggle quite a lot with, as an artist, you do want to make, or most of us, I would say, want to make a career out of it. And so one of my battles is, do I try and just stick to one thing to then become recognizable for that one thing, and that might get me more work? Or, am I just really kicking myself in the foot because I'm doing all these different things? No
the
one quite
socked
knows.
foot.
Yes, exactly. The socked foot, always a socked foot.
Oh, that's what it could be on the side of the mural. It could be above it. Don't
Oh,
kick yourself in the socked foot.
there we go. That's better than this socks.
No,
Um,
they're both great. They're both great.
Thank you for the encouragement.
Yeah, no. Well, there'll have to be some context around it. People might just be confused, but once we build the context, it'll make sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, style is definitely something that I really struggle with. And I think also, on a kind of different note, I feel like art is such an insular an insular thing. You do your art within the comforts of your own space, and I feel like one of the things for me is I've become so comfortable in just being in my own space, listening to music and doing art and just being by myself. And that's kind of led to maybe not being able to like socialize as easy, or finding it difficult to kind of reach out to people, or collaborate with people, because I think one of the most important parts of creativity and art is collaboration. And it's really only just really recently where I've taken a step away from my little comfort bubble, and do these coffee with conversations, really reaching out to the people. Um, and in all honesty, it's been like a decision. So I guess that wouldn't be a struggle anymore. But definitely the style is a struggle. And then also, I think we all reach those points of self doubt where we kind of see other people's work, look at our own work, and be like, well, am I good enough?
What makes me special from someone else? Like, there's that person who's just so good at this thing and I'll never be that. But at the same time, we all have to realize that we each do have something really special to offer from our own individual creativity, and you can't match or compare two different creatives, because they are totally different. And I'm just trying to think of anything else that I really struggle with. Consistency. I feel like one of my main issues is I have an idea and I get so passionate about it and I start it and I don't see it through. I'm really good at the beginning and then it fizzles out because then I have another idea and that takes priority. So for me, one of my challenges, but one of my real focuses is really sticking to something and seeking it out and coming back to the Coffee with series. That is this is a challenge because this is something that I really want to seek out because I think it has a lot of potential and I'm excited for where it could go. But I just need to keep committed and keep my head in that space and just keep going with it. Yeah, I think those are pretty much encompass like my main challenges.
Very good. That was I was expecting like one, and you had quite a few. So this is really good. I have quite a few too. I promise. So that's awesome. You were cutting out a little bit, so if the conversation gets a little bit confusing and choppy for anyone, that's what's going on. But I think it's coming back.
I think it's back.
Back. Okay. We'll see where this goes. You have to be okay with insane circumstances arising when you do these sorts of conversations. Okay, awesome. Let's see. What's another one that I wanted to talk with you about? Okay. So here's one. You have always been interested in. You've always been sort of obsessed with this idea of being a positive person, and you are one of the best people. You're one of the greatest examples of this done well, in my opinion, because you really do have a positive attitude about things, and you do it in a way that's pretty contagious, and you make other people want to be that. And I think that's your goal. So well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where did this passion derive from?
So interestingly enough, so I grew up on the east side of the world. So I grew up in Thailand. I spent quite a few years in Dubai, had a brief time in Africa, India, just all over in the east. And I first came to the UK when I was 19 years old and had a huge culture shock. It was very different to anything I'd ever experienced. And it kind of I was surrounded by, I don't want to say I was surrounded by a lot of negativity and a lot of negative like conversations, but I kind of was, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it, and I was like, I need to create something for myself where I can wake up every day feeling good, feeling optimistic that things are going to work out. And it was just kind of small steps in really just making myself sit back, look around
and now
me.
she is completely frozen on my end. I don't know exactly what is happening. Hopefully we will recover.
Oh, no.
Hello.
Wait, is that better?
I can hear you.
Let me try and move closer. Is that better?
Let's see. It's sort of coming back. I think once you start talking, it decides it wants to go southward.
Oh no.
Let's see here.
Great, because I'm a waffler.
Oh, that's the waffling. You've overwhelmed the internet with your waffling. Okay, so
I have indeed.
We're going to break for just a second. Get this sorted out. We will be right back.
Okay.
So we're back. We had a bit of a catastrophe, and she dropped out of the call, came back. I think we're okay. I think we over waffled, and the internet was punishing us.
It really is. It really is. It doesn't appreciate what the wafflers.
Yeah, I guess so. It wants concise thoughts. They're like, nobody's going to watch this. Okay. So we were talking about you being a positive person. I think you definitely got a bunch of good thoughts in there. What do you think is the importance for another human being of integrating being a more positive, and I actually use that term over just positivity because I think that positivity means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Just being a positive, having a positive outlook on things, being optimistic. What do you think? How do you think that helps specifically the creator?
So just thinking about that, I feel like creatives have a very intense way of dealing with emotion. I feel like we feel emotions, all kinds, whether it's happiness, whether it's sadness, very, very deeply. And I think that's because we put emotion into our work, so we need to feel that.
That's a great point.
And so I feel like being able to what was the question? I've sidetracked again.
You're good. You're sidetracked by all the positivity.
Exactly.
So I was asking, what is the value of somebody who is a creator integrating positivity? And I'll add this, that I think that it's important to create structure for your positiveness and your emotional state, just like it's important to create structure for your body or for your creativity.
Definitely. So yeah, for me, why it's important is because, in all honesty, that you know, this might sound, for people who know me, this might sound completely like out of the blue, but sometimes I feel like it's very comfortable and easy to get into a negative state, and there's just a feeling that you feel where it's like it's just very easy to be down on everything, and it's very easy to get into a place where you just don't want to do anything. It's, you listen to sad songs and just kind of wallow about life.
Well, it's almost like there's a comfort. It's like a comfortable canyon.
It really is. It really is. And I think, it sounds strange saying it out loud, but it is a comfortable space to be in. And it does take effort and, like, real focus to get to a place where you feel good. And I was thinking about this the other day, like, why does it take that effort? And I think it's because once you get to that point where you do feel happy and you do feel positive, the possibilities are endless, and there's this real weight that's been lifted off, which is awesome, but it can be scary because the opportunities are endless, and you're just like, where do I go from here? But I think it's
also you get worried about kind of falling back down, and how do you keep yourself out of that?
Exactly. And interestingly enough, so quite a while back, I started this challenge called 500 Days of Positivity. It started on YouTube, where I posted a video every day, just recalling something small or something big, which was a positive in my day. And that was kind of like my fight back against negativity that I saw or that I was surrounded with. And then it was consistent for about 150 or so days on YouTube, and then I just couldn't keep up daily uploading. It was too much. And interestingly enough, throughout the journey of doing these days of positivity, I now do them, I would say, every 2 to 3 days perhaps, because what I've realized is some days you just don't feel great. Some days you just don't feel overly happy. And I feel like instead of pretending and feigning this, like, oh, everything's great, flowers, sunshine, rainbows, and those things are wonderful. I love flowers, sunshine, and rainbows. But I've learned that when I'm having kind of a down day, or I'm just having this day where just like really, like, I just don't know what's going on, I just have to embrace that feeling, really feel it, go through that motion, and in doing so, I come out the other side feeling much better and much happier. And I think also, to be honest, like, we every single person goes through difficult periods in their life. You know, we go through struggles, challenges, whether it's with family, friends, or external factors. And one thing that my mum has taught me is, like, no matter what you go through in life, you go through it, it happens, you move on. And I can honestly say, like, in all the things that I've gone through, I don't have any negative feelings towards those particular situations. And I really just remember them for the good parts of it. And, you know, whilst I might not have been laughing during that situation, because, you know, it could have been like really terrible or really scary, looking back now, I can see like funny aspects to it. And I really have to credit her for that, because that was something that she just was a like amazing role model for. And it just, in all honesty, I mean, I just feel like what is the point of dwelling on things that don't, you know, that don't matter? Like, I'm not a drama person. I don't like getting involved in drama. I just think there's no point. And I just, we live in a world of amazing opportunity. We live in a world where, you know, we are so fortunate in what we have access to, what we can make of ourselves. You know, this life that we've been born into is that there's everything is at our fingertips. So, you know, what is there to complain about, really? And like, of course, you know, we have those moments where we're like, oh, this sucks, or oh, you know, traffic. But ultimately, it's just keeping that mindset of like, life is great. You know, it's just all an experience. So why not really make the best of it? And if I can have that meaning come through anything that I create, that's always been my intention, is to, through my artwork or through videos, is to show other people that you can be positive and hopefully just have a good impact on them as well. I just like making people smile as well. Smiles are great. I love smiles. Yeah, I don't know if that made any sense. I feel like whenever I talk, I actually make no sense. It might be the waffle mentality, but yeah, that's kind of like where my mind is at.
What's so funny is there are a lot of people that I listen to when they talk, and I don't feel like they have valuable things to say, but a lot of times I'm in this place where I want to hear people say things that either really resonate with me on a special level, or have a just a depth to them that can teach me something. And you're very good at articulating those types of things for me.
Oh,
and I think for everybody else, it's funny because I feel the same way as you feel when I talk.
Yeah.
It's like, does anybody know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, sometimes I will talk to someone and I'll just get this just blankness
right.
and like nothing back, and I'm just like, I tried to be intellectual today, and I guess it didn't work. They just didn't understand where I was going with this. Let's just throw in a cheesy joke, and maybe I'll get a reaction from them.
Well, I think there are different kinds of people in the world. I think some people don't like to. For one, they just don't like to think, and they constrict thinking to specific areas of their life because because it's important to think a little bit. But you know, I think my wife's brain is wired to thinking is an act for her. It is a chore, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's she's very happy because she compartmentalizes the things that she thinks about in life, whereas I'm just always noodling about intellectualisms and this sort of thing. And it has the tendency to make you more neurotic, make more emotionally sensitive to everything.
Oh,
right. And this is a strength and weakness. And so one of the things is, and also there's like maybe for you, there's like a humility to when you talk, you want to make sure you say something that's interesting and meaningful.
Definitely.
Whereas a lot of people just talk because they like to talk, and that's what a lot of people are used to. And a lot of people, it's just fun to them to be around other people who talk and say words that everybody else is saying all the time, and everybody just says words to each other. But when somebody like you comes along to somebody who is not so interested in thinking about deeply about intellectual things, they may not. They're not in the right headspace to have time for that. But that doesn't mean what you're saying is not meaningful and interesting and important, especially for society. And that's what's helped me is like, if the person doesn't want to hear it, that doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not valuable. And that there are a lot of people who do want to hear it, because I'm absolutely enjoying your thoughts. I think that you have some really fantastic you have a great way of explaining experiences and how you feel things, and the importance of this and the importance of that. And so you're making perfect sense. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So that's fantastic. The last thing I was gonna ask you is like, what do you want people to take away from your art? But I think you covered that, unless you have anything else to add.
No, I mean, basically, again, it's sharing experiences, sharing things that I've learned, and hopefully the takeaway is that in some way it can inspire someone, it can make someone's day, it can show people that anything is possible, because we do live in a time where technology has just given us so much opportunity, and also just to chill and, look at the sky once in a while and realize that we live in a beautiful world. It has its flaws, but at the end of the day, that there is beauty everywhere, and it's just it's making that effort to look around and seek those things out, because a lot of the times it doesn't come naturally. You do have to find them, but when you do, it's amazing and you feel amazing, and it's just overall fantastic. Yeah.
Another thing that I think is nice about the way that you approach being positive is that it's not something that is a this sort of forceful attempt to be full of happiness, and it's grounded in a pretty real place. Like it's sort of like, okay, things in life are hard and you have a choice to make.
Definitely.
And I think that much of life is about figuring out how to weather the storm while you're in it. And that's something that runs through our culture and is an important, deep teaching about how to handle life, because the reality is people do get sick around you. People do die around you. People do horrible things happen, car crashes, and you realize what's important, obviously. And and so it's like you have to come up with healthy ways to operate within that, or else your brain will wire itself very wrong. And
Definitely.
You see this with people, children who, from the very beginning, their brains got wired wrong. And so they don't, just for example, and this is just on the slightest level of the horrible things that can go wrong, but they may not look at situations as you and I do after the fact and say, I just remember all the good things and what I pulled from that. A lot of these situations negatively affect the way their brain works all of their life. And it's really, it's really awful. It's really sad. And so that's why it's like it's this weird paradox, because it's important to be lighthearted and look at the sky and go, oh, that's a tree. That's very nice. To enjoy the simple things in life and to enjoy the deep things in life, and be in a place where you're not thinking too deeply all the time about stuff. I always say my dog is the happiest person in the room at any given time, because life's very simple for him. But there's the simplicity that you should pursue. But the paradox, the flip side, is that you should approach that discipline for yourself with like deadly seriousness, because it's really important for you to help you be happy, do meaningful things, not be affected negatively by all of the things in the world that can be, difficult. It's like the world is full of wonderful things and tragedy at the same time.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that? That's the question. And
exactly.
It's a big one, but I think that it's like, that's why I think that it's extremely important to pursue meaning over just sort of this lightweight kind of happiness. Because
exactly.
if you're pursuing meaning when the bad things come around, you have something, you have a solid foundation to stand on when things go south. And so those are my thoughts about positivity.
No, I like 100% agree. I don't have anything to add on to that. That was fantastic.
Beautiful. I love this. I feel like we could take this last part and just chop it off and like post another video just about the positivity section, because that was some really interesting stuff, I think.
Definitely. I'd totally be down for that. Totally be down, up, I don't know, sideways.
Oh, you're waffling again.
I'm waffling. Well, beware, we might get pixelated soon.
It just shuts the whole thing down.
It does. My computer's just like,
fire.
I'm out. You've waffled on for too long.
Nah.
Bye.
That's so good. Okay, hey, this is a good place to wrap it up, I think.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic conversation. I would absolutely love to do this again sometime.
Me too.
And I will put your links below. Would love to hear thoughts of anybody watching and or listening. Did I miss anything? Nope. Thank you again, Meg. I hope you have a lovely day, everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.